the process that you're outlining and the way that you're demonstrating your business, it sounds like a way to. It sounds like a winner. It sounds like something that can absolutely work.
All right, folks, I have a special guest here today on the call for the High Voltage Business Builders podcast. I got to know Joel over the last year. He's a wonderful man, good family guy, just a smart businessman, and I've had the honor of getting to know him a little bit more and learn about what he is, who he is, and I wanted to bring him on the show today to share his experience with us. And so full disclaimer, you will know he is a client of ours. And I want to bring that out right off the front. I also want to ask Joel, as I welcome him into this call, to make sure, Joel, were you coerced, paid, incentivized, held at gunpoint to come on today and tell your story to the people?
Absolutely not.
You're here of your own free will.
That's right.
All right, cool. Well, let's learn a little bit about you and then talk about your business and then some pros and cons, things you've learned, things you didn't know as you got started, things you've come into the knowledge of as you gain some intrinsic value. Let's share your story with folks, and I'll give you the floor to kind of tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I think our story, at least with Voltage, started. I spent a career in the military, and as I was kind of getting to the end of that, it's time to make the decision. What do we do next? And so I actually spent quite a bit of time and talked to quite a few people in terms of what are some options? What can we do? I've always wanted to start a business. I've run a couple little side businesses along the way. And I was actually working with the folks over at Wealth Without Wall Street. I'm sure some of your people are familiar with them. And I think it was you actually came on and did a presentation, and the stuff that you said, it definitely rang true to me. I said, this is the process that you're outlining and the way that you're demonstrating your business. It sounds like a way to. It sounds like a winner. It sounds like something that can absolutely work. And it wasn't one of these things where it's all rainbows and you're going to be a bajillionaire in 6 months or anything like that. It was like, look, here's the process, here's the system. It's going to be some work, but the output is. I don't think you use these words, but when I looked in more detail at what you guys did, you almost can't lose. If you just follow the system, it's very, very hard to lose. And that was the thing that kind of turned me onto it.
Yeah. So you've obviously been working in this for a little bit. What are some of the things you thought you knew that you discovered either you didn't know or kind of changed your perspective as you started to work the process of selling with e-commerce?
I'll be honest. I didn't really know anything about e-commerce. For me, a lot of the way that I look at life is just a risk perspective, right? So what's the upside? What's the downside? How do you manage that risk? That kind of thing. And looking at the risk perspective or the risk proposition on this business, it was very much the downside is limited, the upside is infinite, and there's a very, very high likelihood that you're going to do just fine. So, yeah. Like I said, it would be hard to say something that I didn't know because I didn't really know anything. I had not approached e-commerce before. I had not been in this business before. Yeah. So everything was new to me, which was, I think, a good place to start.
A good place to start. Okay, so what ultimately enticed you to the e-com model versus something else? I don't know, land flipping or real estate or other places you could have put your money and time and interest. Why e-com? Like, what ultimately was the thing that said, you know what, I see myself doing this business?
I like the idea of physical products, and it's not just flipping products. You're actually building something. You're actually building a business. You're building something with value. You're providing something to the customer, and it's a lot of control. So I have a lot of control over what I'm doing, what I'm selling, how I'm. Everything about the business, I have some level of control, and some of those other things you don't. You're kind of dependent on markets. You're dependent on, other people's systems that may or may not work, and in particular with this, the audience in terms of who you're selling to. The nice thing about Amazon is that everybody's on Amazon, so you can sell anything, and there's somebody out there that wants to buy what you have, right?
They're already buying it, true, right? I mean, 4,000
Exactly.
products a minute,
Exactly.
Someone's buying something that you can sell them. That's why we love it as an incubator platform for these brands.
Yep.
But what did you initially struggle with to get going? What were some of the things you felt were a little bit difficult for you that you've maybe overcome, or something you're still struggling with?
Initially, it's pretty overwhelming. There's a lot to know, and I think it's very, very easy to get. I don't know if it's so much analysis paralysis, but it's very, very easy to get overwhelmed by, oh man, look at all these things that I have to do. And it's really not that hard. I will say that my tendency, my inherent tendency is to overanalyze things. That's something that's been well trained out of me in the military. So I think I have a bias for action now. So that was a thing that was helpful getting started initially. Was I'm just going to go. Like there is no perfect information. There never will be perfect information, and you can't predict the future. Anyone who tells you what's going to happen in the future is lying, because there's no way to know. They might be right and they might be wrong, but it's a guess.
Right.
Nobody
No
knows.
guarantee.
So you got to go, and if you go,
Yeah.
you will be involved in the future. If you don't go,
Right.
the future is going to happen, and you're not going to be there.
Well, he's a military man and a pilot. You understand things change. You may have a perceived path. You may have an understanding of your flight plan, but you're going to something is going to change. Weather, events, activities, things are going to shift.
Yep.
And I think it's well entitled for you personally to lift you up in that, because your agility to make changes, to adapt to something that may be difficult is built into your character, which is great. It's something that's hard to train into others, but it's something that is critical to the success of any business, especially moving in an e-commerce format. So, I mean, kudos to you for being willing to adapt and change and say, okay, I got 80% of the information, 20% I'm going to figure out as I go. And I think that's been one of your success value points as your mentor and friend, and in watching you grow in this. I see that where others have struggled to make a decision and want 100% of the information. You're like, hey, I got 60, 80%, I'm ready to go. Let's go. And that's a big factor in winning in this game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something, it doesn't take 20 years in the military to learn that, right? You just have to decide that I'm going to go, that there is no such thing as perfect information, and I'm going to go. We say in the military that no plan survives first contact with the enemy, right? So make a plan, have a point from which to deviate, and then you go. And then you just adjust as things are going. And that's the beauty of this program. And I think the thing that really, really stands out from, other things that I've seen, or I haven't done a lot of, these types of things in the past, maybe once in the past, and it was well worth the time, but the ongoing support, right? So there's always problems. There's always something going on. The business is always changing. And the thing that has been really, really helpful for me is I was confident that I could go because I knew that I was going to get the support, right? It wasn't just a series of videos and good luck. It was some good training, and then understanding that we're going to adjust along the way. And when I needed to adjust, there was the community in particular is awesome in terms of there's a lot of experience out there and folks can help out. And then you and Reed in particular, being able to jump in and help out when there's an issue.
Yeah, it's great to have wingmans, right? To fly along with you.
Yeah.
It changes, as you know. And when you say enemy, Amazon in some ways is our enemy at times. People like to get on this marketing pontification that, you partner with Amazon. Well, no, not actually. Amazon is sort of, in some ways, at times, they're the enemy, aren't they? I mean, they're the ones we have to adapt and shift to. It isn't always the competition that is currently selling on Amazon. Sometimes it's Amazon itself. Which is a part of the con, I think, of this business model, but it also can be a pro depending upon how you structure it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if you're willing to solve the problem, and I use the word enemy. It's not, this isn't necessarily a war, right? But
well, I'm just borrowing your phrase.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, they're not really an adversary, but they are a challenge at times to move around.
Yeah,
right?
and that's business, right? Is understanding that you're just going, and you're going to have to constantly adjust. Nothing you can make any business plan you want. You can make any plan for any part of your life, and as soon as one little thing changes, the plan's out the window. It's good to plan because then you have a point from which to deviate. You can say, okay, I'm on track, I'm off track, and how do I need to adjust? But you can't force life back into your plan. You need to adjust your plan to what's going on.
So retirement was part of your goals. Have you achieved that?
Almost. I got be working for about 3 more months.
3 more months. Okay. And are things being scheduled into your business now to give you that retirement opportunity that you originally had a goal for when you started?
Yes, absolutely. And we started.
What does that look like to you?
I was going to say, we started at a tough time. I think we were right at the height of the COVID supply disruptions and things like that. So it was a little slow for us getting off the ground, but a lot of that was just kind of waiting, right? Because that's how it was. And things have gotten better now. So
yeah. Yeah, no, they have gotten tremendously better prices, and not everybody sees this, but prices per container, shipment times, and stuff have actually right-sized quite a bit in the marketplace, which is great. It gives us opportunity to move a little quicker through the process. But what was it you were obviously looking for something to do, not just like, hey, I'm retired, I'm going to go hit the golf course and be bored. But what is this now presented for you and your family? What are you guys doing now? You and Crystal are probably going to be different than when you planned as you retire in 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, retirement from the military isn't stop work and play golf the rest of your life for most folks. It's not. Most people still have to work, and we still do have to work. And for us, we have sort of a unique family situation. I have a special needs kid, and then we also foster. So having the freedom. Well, one, special needs kids can be expensive, and two, having the freedom to be around. It's very, very good for me to be around. And then with the foster kids too, it's great having being around more than I've been around in the past. So that's been a big factor in what we're doing here.
Yeah, and y'all are amazing for doing that. I mean, kudos to you for being actionable with integrity in your life and helping others, which is tremendous. It just shows a good
thanks.
character. Where is the business at now from where you started, and where are you seeing it going? Whatever results you'd be willing to share would be amazing. If you want to share, however much detail you want to share. Where were you at? Where did you start? Where are you currently? Where do you think you're going?
Yeah. So, in full transparency, the process and understanding, I'll get a little bit off track here, but this business is about finding and launching good products. It's very easy to get into the minutia, and part of the analysis paralysis, people want to have the perfect product to bring to market. And I definitely spent some time on the first one, probably more than I should have. And it didn't really take off the way that I wanted it to, right? And that's okay, because I had another one in the pipeline and that one took off. So, now we're very focused on brand 2, if you will, and adding products to that line and that kind of thing. So that's been great. I think I told you we hit $50,000 in sales in June. It wasn't our most profitable month. The month prior was actually our most profitable month, but it's gone fast. That's 6 months, and that was only 3 months into that brand. So the big lesson there for me was, and I think for everybody else, is it doesn't matter if you think you have the perfect product. I thought that first product was perfect, and for whatever reason, it just it didn't take off. Right? Like, we're going to sell through it and we're going to move on, and that's fine.
But you follow the plan. The plan is to micro invest in products, test those products, don't marry them, find those winners, fall in love with the ones that reward you. But as quickly as you move through that process, the winners will reveal themselves, right? And this is one of the things you've seen us hammering in the group on lately, because there's a number of people who are sort of still stuck in that component of perfect process for products, and there isn't one, right? There is finding the perfect products in the process.
Yep, absolutely. And my biggest mistake, I think, was the amount of time that I spent trying to get that first product to work. It became evident fairly quickly that it wasn't going to work, and so there's a lot of learning that goes on, and you learn how to troubleshoot and how to solve the problem and things that you can do to try to adjust it. But at the end of the day, I should have just been like, okay, move on. But instead, I spent a lot of time, way too much time, trying to make that thing work instead of just moving on to the next thing. That's a huge lesson for everybody listening. Like, just keep going.
Well, and to draw it out, because some people may have heard this, one month was more profitable than the other, but you were making more revenues the next month, and it was less profitable. What detail had changed? I think I know what it is, but just in case people are wondering, what changed in that detail?
Well, a couple of things. One, the revenue was up because we were trying to move some of that product that we're just trying to get rid of, and then also trying to build market share. Okay, got it. So we got aggressive in getting into some. Once I realized we had a winner, I said, okay, let's get into the top 10 in this niche. And that's what we were able to do. So we're spending a little bit of money on ads. We're being a little bit more aggressive on pricing, and then once we build that market share, kind of dialing it back, and now we're kind of in focusing on profitability over sales.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things we've taught, right? Obviously, the launch and the growth and pulling that market share together is going to reward you in the algo, and it's going to change. And in fact, I just got text messages from Bry yesterday about something that had just occurred. We're 7 and going into 14 days after Prime, and all the numbers go down. Nobody ever understands this. After Prime, we have a bit of a lull, and then what in essence comes back up is the winners start to surface back to the top after the numbers and the metrics have been proven and the sales cycle back. What he's just seen is an enormous, 2 days now going on 3 days in a row of sales every day that are record breaking. So the algo has rewarded him after Prime for the better metrics, right? And as you're mentioning, as you take over market share, you're gaining traction from existing sellers in the marketplace, which is smart. And this is what we teach you to do. And I'm glad to hear you doing it, because you will see the rewards in the next 30 days from the algo for those efforts. And it'll be fun to watch that. So where's your goals now? I know when we originally mentioned and you said, "Wow, we broke 50,000 a month in sales," you're like, "This is unbelievable."
Yeah.
But now that that's your new plateau of realistic circle, your expanded
Yeah.
circle, right? I know it's gonna be a weird question. You know where I'm going with this. What's your next goal?
Obviously, the $1 million sales mark is a big deal, but for me, that it's more about
Yep.
profitability, right? I want to be very, very profitable. I want to be very, very efficient and very, very profitable.
Number
So
one.
there's a time to push for growth a little bit,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's how much money I take home that matters. That's what feeds my family,
Exactly.
right?
Profit's number one. Yeah. Yeah, profit number one, market and shareability two, and then
Yep.
scalability next at three. That's the things we teach, and I'm glad to see you
Yeah.
following that because you understand. It's what we take home, not revenues. Who cares, right? It's fun to watch the $1 million revenue
Yeah.
mark come in, but it wouldn't be fun to find out that you only made like
Right.
$20,000 on
Right.
that, right? Which is where I hear a lot of sellers end up, but you're not going to be there by any measure. So this is exciting. Any like pros and tips, anything somebody's listening at this point you would want to share with them if they were new just like you and you were to say, hey, here's something you should know, what would that be? What would you want to
The
share with
biggest
folks?
thing we've already really hit on and then hit on it again is you just got to go. I mean, just start.
Yeah.
The system works, so you just have to go. You know, there's nothing's perfect. Just
Awesome. I love it.
say, just
To
go,
the
man.
point. There's 20 years of
Yeah.
military experience talking right there. Just get in the seat,
Yeah.
hit the ignition,
That's when
go.
the real learning starts,
Yeah.
right? So everyone wants to focus
Right,
so
it is.
much on the videos and the training and the going to the group sessions and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, just go, get your hands dirty. And that's where the learning occurs. Like all this stuff is interesting, but go get your hands dirty, figure it out for yourself, find out the things that are working, the things that don't work, because it's going to be particular to your product and your niche and the way that you do business and the way that you've set up your business. So just go, get your hands dirty and start learning.
Fantastic. Well said, man. Thank you for joining. I'm honored and I appreciate your feedback and testimony today. And I hope somebody hears some great value
Yeah,
out of it.
absolutely.
I think they will.